Hello and welcome to the Engineers Ireland and MIDAS Ireland Global Engineers Microelectronic Industry webinar. We're delighted to be working with Leonard Hobbs on this event. And just before we begin, my name is Michael Gallagher and I'll give a quick insight into Engineers Ireland. It's the professional body for engineers in Ireland, and it has over 25,000 members, and we're actively welcoming engineers from all over the globe to join us. So just to kind of tell why you might join. I'll be touching on these 2 points later on in the presentation, but just to say that it's a great way to kind of continually professionally develop yourself, or get CPDRs as you develop and learn as an engineer who's new to Ireland. It's also a great way to meet new people in Ireland, especially other engineers, whether you want to meet new people and learn more about engineering, or whether you want to meet new people and perhaps find work opportunities. To become a member, there is a link in the description below, and you'll be directed to fill out a short application form. You need to verify your engineering qualifications with us. You can do that online, or else you can do it through a Garda or police station in Ireland. You make a membership payment fee, which is €280 is our annual fee. And then, yeah, you become a member of Engineers Ireland. Process generally takes 1 month is when we admit new members generally. We have 12 regions all over Ireland that you can get involved with, and some of them overseas if you're not yet in Ireland. We have loads of different divisions depending on what particular area of engineering that you're working in. So for example, you'll see that there is electronic division and mechanical manufacturing. There's loads of opportunities that those working in the microelectronic sector might be interested in. There's different societies, like whether you're interested in project management or whether you're a young engineer looking to develop yourself. There's loads of different opportunities to get involved with societies. And of course, you can get involved with our STEPS program too, about promoting engineering to the next generation of school kids, trying to get them interested in the profession. So yeah, once you join, you'll also be able to access Engineers Journal, which is our source of knowledge leadership and thought leadership. You'll get access to all the publications, such as the Salary Survey 2022 is now out and available for our members. If you don't have a accredited qualification in engineering, there's still routes to membership. It might be a bit more complicated. If you want to pause the screen here, you can see the additional steps that you might need to take if you don't have an engineering qualification. So yeah, why people join us again is that they might be working towards a registered professional title. One of the most popular ones that we kind of protect as a professional body is the title of Chartered Engineer, and that would typically be for people who have accredited level 8 and 9 qualifications and at least 4 years experience after graduating. That's everything I want to say, and I'm delighted now to hand it over to our host for the evening, Leonard Hobbs. Thank you.
Welcome to today's session. My name is Leonard Hobbs. I'm the General Manager for MIDAS Ireland, which I'm going to describe with you in a second now. And I'm delighted today to be collaborating with Engineers Ireland to describe to you some of the opportunities that we have to work in this really exciting sector and in Ireland. So without further ado, let me move on. Just to say that MIDAS Ireland is an industry-led cluster. And consisting of education, research and government agencies. It represents the entire value chain for electronics sector in Ireland today, including the software side of things. It's a key enabler for networking and collaborative opportunities, and also very concerned with the upskilling of our graduate professional engineers, and indeed assisting our member companies to be able to hire the kind of talent that they constantly need to fund their business ventures. Some numbers on the left there, you see there's over 20,000 highly professional paid staff in Ireland in the sector. It represents 13.5 billion of exports, which is about Ireland's fourth largest exporting sector. 225 million is spent on R&D in Ireland, so it's a very deep tech sector. And I think as already mentioned, we're a 65 strong membership organization. A little bit of history then. So Ireland has always been at the cutting edge of technology, all the way back to the 70s, when the likes of analog devices would have come to Ireland Then when the mainframe computing era occurred, Amdahl and Digital had large manufacturing facilities, had their European headquarters in Ireland. PC computing era brought us Hewlett Packard, Intel and IBM. Internet companies in the noughties, Facebook, Yahoo and Google. Google indeed has its European headquarters in Ireland, in Dublin, has several thousand people working there. And more recent times, and what's called the born on internet companies, we've seen the likes of TripAdvisor, Airbnb and Uber, and most recently of all, what I'm calling smart companies using the internet to develop their businesses, MasterCard, HubSpot and Stripe, which would be an Irish company. And indeed, it was started by two young men from a place called Limerick in Ireland, and has now relocated. It's a Californian company, but it's located at its European base again in Ireland. So you can see there just from that picture alone, a long legacy of technology and a very strong ecosystem in Ireland. Lots of opportunities, lots of great companies, and we really do hope that you'll consider looking to Ireland for your next career move. Hall of Fame, these are Irish people who've done well in their sectors. I won't go through them all, but to just pick out a few: Lee Madden, who's Executive VP of Xilinx, now AMD, of course, they were just acquired by AMD. And Liam Quinn, Senior Vice President Fellow of Dell. So, and indeed Anne Kelleher, an ex-colleague of mine indeed, who is now a very senior person at Intel in California and runs their technology development organization. So Anne is responsible for Moore's Law in the company, so huge responsibility. And all these people learned their trade in the company in Ireland before going on to take on a global role in their corporations. Here's a collection. Obviously, I won't go through all of these, but you see here an amazing collection of companies in Ireland, large and small, smaller companies. There'll be Irish Indigenous companies, and also, of course, the large multinationals, many who have large facilities, European headquarters, etc., in Ireland. So lots of great opportunities there. This is just a picture of some of the facilities in the country. Now, of course, there's lots of smaller groups as well. These are just some of the larger ones. Intel have a very large facility out there just west of Dublin. It's a small picture, but you can just about make out there the top part of the picture. They're building 2 more factories there to do their 7nm node, along with 4 existing factories that are on the site that have been there since the 90s. Analog Devices has been in Limerick for many years. Predates Intel, I think goes back into the 70s, continued to progress. Just this last week alone, they announced the launch of their €100 million development center called the Catalyst. So continue to flourish in Limerick. Also in the Dublin area, AMD have just acquired Xilinx, so they've got a big facility again west of Dublin. And then in Cork, the Tyndall Centre, which is a European European class research centre, have a large facility in the city, and indeed influence a lot of the area around them, to the point that a lot of the sector is actually in Ireland is based between Cork and Limerick. So a lot of the companies I showed you there in the earlier slide are actually based on the west, here in the southwest of Ireland, and some activity around Dublin, a little bit out in the west of Ireland and Galway, but really the hub is based around the Limerick-Cork region. This picture here is a kind of a busy one, but just to shows you the growth. This is the projected growth in jobs or skilled needs in the sector in Ireland. It's the broad ICT sector now, but it also reflects our industry. And these are the projected numbers of growth over the next number of years, at least out to next year. This year, sorry, just up to this year. So very, very positive trend. The bar on top shows you the white bar, the white with the grey dots. Shows you the gap between what's required and what the country can supply itself through its education system. So very large gap in Ireland, lots of opportunities, and as I've shown you earlier, lots of great companies that are hiring. So hopefully, again, you'll have a chance to look at those opportunities in the website, which I'm going to share with you at the end of the video. Here's some of the companies that are hiring today. In Cork, you have companies like Infineon, Renesas, Microchip, uBlocks, along with some other smaller indigenous companies. In Limerick, Analog Devices on Semi are hiring. In the Dublin region, Synopsys, Intel, Xilinx are all hiring. So real some great activity, some great opportunities. and hopefully you get a chance to dip in and look at those particular jobs on the website, which I'm just going to share with you now. So if you pop into our website at www.midasireland.ie, in there you'll see there's the job center and all the jobs are advertised there. There's even additional positions to the ones that I've mentioned that are just loaded. We keep that site live, so please do dip in, have a look, please apply, and hopefully one day we'll see you working in Ireland in this really exciting sector. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Barry, who's going to talk to.
It's great to be involved again with Engineers Ireland, and in particular this forum, Microelectronics. So many thanks to yourself, Leonard, for extending the invite to us. I'm just going to give you a very brief insight, an overview of the company ourselves, because I think it's important that you know who I am and who my colleagues are as well. So Morgan McKinley is an Irish-owned business. We're headquartered here in Cork. The company was originally set up by a Kerryman almost probably 33 years ago now at this stage. We have offices all around Ireland, but also in 18 different offices throughout 9 countries around the world as well. So what sets us apart, I suppose, from some of the other recruitment agencies in Ireland is that we all specialize in our various disciplines. So for me, throughout the years, I would only recruit for process, project and automation engineers. My colleagues on the desk as well would look after other specialties. So they would have over time, I suppose, typical roles that they would work on could be PCB design engineers, electronic engineers, field service engineers within the semiconductor industry, manufacturing engineers, as I mentioned, and also quality engineers. So we pride ourselves in the fact that we only specialize in particular job titles, and that I suppose we have that area and that knowledge of our market that will hopefully guide engineers in throughout their career as they build their career as well. We continuously partner with established clients throughout Ireland and around the world as well, particularly within the medical device, life science, food and semiconductor industries. So companies such as Pfizer, Hovione, Amgen, Dymax, Stryker, PSK, who are very new to Ireland. They're getting set up in Fab 24 as we speak over the coming weeks. Hanley Energy and Boston Scientific would be another client that we work with quite regularly as well. So to give you a bit of insight, I'm a member of Engineers Ireland. I have an engineering degree from UCD, followed by a master's. I joined Engineers Ireland probably about 15 years ago, and for me throughout my career, it's certainly been something that's given me a definite advantage in progressing my career. The engineering market in Ireland at the moment is probably as buoyant as it's ever been. Okay, the biopharmaceutical industry, for example, has just gone from strength to strength. We have, I think, 9 of the top 10 leading pharmaceutical companies in the world have a presence in Ireland from a manufacturing point of view, and 8 of the top 10 biggest medical device companies also have a presence in Ireland as well. So certainly the hub for the European hub for the life science industry is the island of Ireland. That's for sure. Since the start of 22, we've seen a significant demand for roles that our government are hoping will support Ireland in the fight against climate change. And Ireland is also, the European hub for data centers with Amazon, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Microsoft, just some of the globally recognized companies here, competing for talent, not just in Dublin, but it's starting to expand more and more outside of the Dublin and the Greater Leinster area. The labour market itself. So we've noticed some trends, okay, and in our partnership with Engineers Ireland, we've seen that 73% of employers are taking the appropriate steps to upskill their employees. There's that great adage, I suppose, of what if we upskill them and they leave, and the CEO turns around to the CFO and says, what if we don't and they stay? So it's really important, and something that the companies and the clients that we're working with really see the benefit in ensuring that their engineers, I suppose, that they're invigorated by the work that they do, but that there's progression there, and there's I suppose an opportunity for them to grow their market knowledge and to grow their skills and awareness of their market as well, and something that a lot of employers are really starting to buy into as well. The need for engineers from overseas is evident, and we're seeing more and more companies look at becoming a trusted partner so that they can employ engineers who would be deemed to have critical skills. If you go online today and go onto the Department of Enterprise website, it gives a whole range of skills which would be deemed critical skills. By and large, most engineers would cater for that, given the I suppose the demand for good engineers. And Leonard alluded to there the grey area in the graph that he showed. There's a huge shortage of engineers in Ireland, and that's something that, you know, we're doing our very best to appease if we can. For engineers, I suppose first and foremost, I really kind of want to talk to you about, you know, selling yourself on the Irish market if you can. So your CV is an opportunity for you to really sell yourself. If you're looking at the manufacturing industry, for example, hiring managers, they're continuously looking for a certain set of skills that they would see, you know, clearly on a CV. So they want to see analytical thinkers. They want to see someone who's self-motivated. They want to see somebody who's flexible, you know, who's able to move from maybe department to department, or certainly support other departments across engineering, manufacturing. And they want to see people who are collaborative. They want to see somebody who, I suppose, is creative from an engineer's point of view. They certainly want to see somebody who has proven experience of developing their troubleshooting skills, and not only that, but also developing the root cause analysis skills as well. And that's something that's really important for you to get across on your CV if you can. Once you get to interview, that gives you the opportunity to I suppose really promote your soft skills. Okay, so the fact that you have a positive attitude, and that you're open to new ideas, that you've got strong leadership skills, that you have an ability to build trust, that you're in a position to go beyond. Okay. The visa situation is obviously something that is continuously evolving and changing in Ireland as well. So it's really worth your while to make sure that you're informed of the type of visas that are available to you, and that you can avail of, you know, the critical skills, or you may be able to avail of some other some other visas upon completing you know, some further education. So I know a lot of global engineers would in particular come to Ireland. You might do a master's, and upon completion of the masters, they are able to avail of a stamp 1G visa, which will allow them to work in Ireland for 2 years before they can then progress to maybe a stamp 4 to a critical skills. So the stamp 1G visa allows, as I said, allows them to work for 2 years. Generally, most students will come over to Ireland on a stamp 2 visa that will allow them to work for 40 hours during the holidays or 20 hours during term. Some engineers, I know a lot of progressive engineers and I suppose proactive engineers, have gone off and sought out internships, you know, within industry that they can use to I suppose get their foot in the door, but also to develop their skills and to develop their knowledge. And they've done that during term time, or they might alternatively look at maybe doing that during the summer holidays if they can and get it. You know, it's a paid internship for the most part, and they can work up to 40 hours. The stamp 3 visa is not really relevant, I suppose, to us here. Okay, it's set for a set duration. You can't really work in Ireland on it. And the stamp 4 is really, I suppose, what a lot of people aspire to obtain. Okay, because that means that they can work in Ireland unconditionally. And I think once they have the stamp 4 for 5 years, they renew it every 2 years. Once they get to the 5th year, they can apply for Irish citizenship. So I know a lot of global engineers that we would work with would aspire to obtain a stamp 4, and because it cuts out an awful lot of the red tape and everything else. LinkedIn is huge in Ireland. It's not necessarily, I know Brazil, it's not very big, and some other global companies, global foreign countries that we're working with as well, it wouldn't be very big, but it's really important, I suppose, that you have your LinkedIn up to date and relevant, and matching the type of role that you'll be looking for as well, and that you have a link on your CV attached to your LinkedIn profile. Some of the key areas for you to, I suppose, consider when you're updating your LinkedIn, just to make sure that the photo, the headline, the summary, that it's eye-catching, that it's going to catch either the hiring manager or the HR manager or member of the talent acquisition team. Is going to catch their attention, and you can do this by some simple modifications and just some simple additions. Profiles with no photos, for example, get 14 times less views. Make sure that the photos work appropriate. Try and make sure that you're the only person in the photo. and find or take a high quality photo of you alone, professionally dressed, facing forward. We would always suggest that maybe recently qualified engineers would maybe post a picture of them in their graduation gear. Graduation game sometimes looks very, very well. And just remember that LinkedIn is certainly not Facebook, and just be very careful about what type of posts you like and the type of post that you comment under, because that is readily available to all hiring managers if they were to go in and look at your profile. This is Ricardo. Ricardo is an active member of Engineers Ireland as well. He's somebody that Michal and I have met numerous times over the years. This for me is an excellent example of a professional profile. Okay, so Ricardo here is clearly outlined his degree, his masters, and the affiliations that he has with professional bodies. So you can see there that he's a member of Engineers Ireland. He's got MIEI, and for me as a hiring manager, that will tell me that he's been proactive in registering himself with the affiliated professional body in Ireland, but also that his qualifications have been recognised, and they are recognised by Engineers Ireland as well. So it means that if I was to hire Ricardo, I wouldn't need to worry about validating or proving that his transcripts meet the criteria that's needed. Okay. His profile also tells me that he's got obviously a keen interest in energy systems. Okay, but most importantly there, I can see that he's an EU citizen, which allows him to work in Ireland, again, unconditionally, and that he can start immediately as well. So if you have that citizenship, or if you don't, that's fine. If if you're eligible for a critical skills visa, I'd also mention that on your both on your CV and on your LinkedIn profile. For your LinkedIn, I think Michal's going to share this presentation anyway with you, but it's good to make sure that it's short and sweet and it's not rambling. Okay, it must be memorable. You want to stand out, I suppose, against some of your peers within the engineering industry. And if you need ideas, you can check out profiles of peers that you might admire, or recent alumni as well from your university. Be smart about experience. Obviously, you don't want to lie about anything. You don't want to stretch the truth. List the jobs that you've held in the brief description, what you're responsible for. You can choose to make it either less or more detailed than your CV. Think broadly about your experience. Be sure to include volunteer activities if you have them under volunteer experience and causes. And maybe mention some of the engineering practical modules that you may have had. It could be design challenges in college, Formula One design. We see that quite a lot on CVs. It might be a keen interest in continuous improvement and Lean Six Sigma, whatever it might be from an electronic point of view. If you have Altium design, for example, make sure that you clearly indicate that on both on your LinkedIn and on your CV. A lot of members of a lot of HR managers and TA would have access to LinkedIn Recruiter, which means that they can specifically search for candidates using the skill set that they have. So again, going back to Altium, or it might be Alan Bradley for a automation engineer, or a black belt in Six Sigma for process engineer, whatever it might be. So just clearly have that detailed across your various different profiles. Again, if you're a young, recently graduated engineer, don't worry, okay, and you don't have a huge amount of experience, that's fine, all right, but make sure that you do sell yourselves in other ways. If you've earned a prize or recognition in or out of college, you can list it under honours and awards. And you can also build a strong network, okay, so you know that it's there when you need it. For us, we will guide the candidate through the process. So if we identify that there's a role we are working on that we think you might be interested in and be suitable for, we will submit your CV to our client, and we will, I suppose, highlight the reasons why we think you might be suitable for the role. Ideally, we will secure an interview for you, and then we will prep you to the best of our ability to make sure that you're not going into that interview with any stone unturned, and that you have, I suppose, all of the knowledge that you need to sell yourself to the best of your ability. Okay, so it's really important that you do prepare for the interviews as much as you can. So it's the only opportunity you have to chat, to sell yourself. You need to be confident. You need to highlight what experience is relevant to the position that you're interviewing for, and you really want to show them that you want the job as well. A lot of the interviews, I know a lot of global engineers, for example, who are affiliated with Engineers Ireland, have secured roles before they've even come to Ireland. Okay, and again, that's indicative of the market and how tight it is at the moment. But they've done that through being able to successfully apply for roles and to interview remotely through video. So again, some pre-interview prep, and any good recruiter will support you with this and make sure that you have all of the information that you need. But if you're going alone, if you're applying directly, just understand the job description, know your CV, and research the company, and make sure that your CV is fluent and clear. Have examples from your CV ready to draw on. The STAR technique is always something that we would promote, and if you have the opportunity to look that up, I would encourage you to do so, and make sure that you A, answer the questions to the best of your ability, but B, that you're not rambling and that you're not going off script. Okay, prepare some relevant questions. Hiring managers always love if you've got questions about the company. Make sure that they're not related to, salary or, the work bonus or whatever it might be, that they're related to what the role entails and some of the key areas that maybe what a hiring manager loves about his job. What gets them out of bed in the morning, what makes them tick. A lot of engineers love really kind of selling the company and telling them, about what a day in the life of their job is, and that can really be contagious. So make sure you have questions lined up for that. Obviously, look, for us and for you, if you're going to an interview, you need to be punctual. Okay, you need to know the exact location. If you're going for a role, for example, in Pfizer, you need to know that you're going to have to go through 2 security gates, and that it can take 15 minutes to go through each gate, which means that you're going to have to be there half an hour earlier. Leonard would know more than me, but if you want to go on site in Intel, I'm presuming that there's quite a robust security in place there as well. So just make sure that you're aware of all your surroundings and everything that needs to be prepared in advance. Okay, be sure to switch off your mobile phone. Okay, you don't want anything to distract you, and concentrate just on maintaining eye contact throughout the meeting, and be aware of your own body language as well. Sometimes they suggest that you mirror the interviewer's body language, and that can sometimes put everybody at ease. Okay, just Michal has asked me to highlight some of the current roles that we have open. Okay, I don't know if you can hear in the background, but it's bedtime here, so there's a little bit of extra noise. Electrical field service engineer role that we're working on within the medical device industry. There's a PCB design engineering role again within the medical device. There's a senior process engineer, and that's for a manufacturing company in Dublin, probably the highest value manufacturing company in Ireland, actually. They're involved in the medical device industry also. We've got quality specialists in the pharmaceutical industry, validation engineering role in medical device. And this is just a snapshot of the industries, I suppose, and some of the roles that we're working on. Given that it's International Women's Week, I just wanted to include this because this was actually an engineer who was recently placed by my colleague Sarah. She started the engineer. Started her role last week. She's working within the electronic engineering industry for an American company who have their headquarters, who are based in Ireland, but do a lot of manufacturing in Ireland as well. And she will be working on as an MPI process engineer. She's originally an electronic engineer, so she's looking forward to commencing her career in Ireland, having relocated here with her family just in recent months. So that's all for me. Thanks very much for your time, and all my details are there should you need to follow up with any questions. I'll pass you back to Leonard. Thanks, Leonard.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. So, so what I'd like to go to next now is just to talk to 2 engineers that have joined companies in Ireland from overseas over the last number of years. So with that, I'm delighted to welcome Talita, who's currently with Onsemi in Limerick, the southwest of Ireland, and Can, who's with a company called Mintech, a smaller Irish company based out in Galway in the west of Ireland. So Talita, maybe if I go to you first and just ask you just to maybe share with us how did you end up in Ireland?
Hello, hi everybody. Well, this was about 4.5 years ago. I was working in Brazil in the same area, in the semiconductor industry, and I was working in a small company, in a startup company, and the company closed. I started to look for new opportunities, and I opened to overseas and start to see opportunities not only in Ireland but in other places in Europe. And I end up coming here. We have a great opportunity here in Ireland, and I came to visit first. I moved from Brazil here to see how is the cities and how's the life, and I ended up staying. This was almost 5 years ago.
Great, thanks, Lita. And Can, maybe you could tell us your story, how you ended up in an island off the west coast of off the west of Europe.
Yeah, hi all, everyone. Thank you first of all the invite to me. I'm currently working at the Mintech. I'm working as the electronic engineer, and I came to Ireland the end of the 2018, and I decided to Ireland because there's a lot of opportunity in Ireland, and I was working the R&D engineer, the electronic engineer in Turkey. And because why did I decide to Ireland? Because Ireland has the agreement with the Turkish citizen, and we can get the visa easily from others, the non-European citizen. That's why.
Okay. Great. Can we just in brief describe maybe to people what you do in your role at Mintech?
Mintech, I'm working the technical support, and we are working the making the prototype, and we are the support to the other companies for the model or any idea.
Okay, and Talita, maybe if you could just describe for us just what role do you play at Onsemi?
Yeah, when I came here, I was working as a design engineer, analog design engineer, and after 2 years, I ended up changing to product engineer. So I support the process of the project design and manufacturing in the semiconductor.
Okay, and would you interact then with other colleagues from around the world in that role in Onsemi?
Yeah,
as you know?
Yeah. It's a big company, and we have colleagues all over the world. So in this role, we connect a lot with people in different places, in different parts of the process as well, different roles. So there is a few groups that is here in Ireland, and groups in other places as US, for example, other places as well.
Okay, great. So you're reaching out around the world, even though you're based in Ireland. Then, yeah, very good. Can, just back to you then again. Can you maybe give me one positive and one negative? It's starting to sound like an interview now, but one positive and one negative of working in Ireland. What your experience has been in working in Ireland?
Working Ireland.
What's the positive? Let's start with the positive.
The positive because the Ireland has a lot of opportunity from the people or from the global service, because the Ireland has a lot. Actually, I was working the Dublin, and Dublin has a lot of international people, and I think the positive the thing, because we connect a lot of people, not Irish, not English, not British.
Right.
I have also friends, the Brazilian, the Chinese, Japanese,
okay,
the Asian. Yeah, that's, I think, the good.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, the Ireland has become very international over the last number of years. And I heard a statistic yesterday that's 120,000 people from Poland alone living in Ireland. And I think we'll come back to this in a second, but I think there's a huge number there as well. What about a negative then? Maybe not a negative. What would you something that you mightn't have liked, or something that you change about Ireland?
I think not big the negative, but I can say there's maybe the weather.
Okay. Yeah, well,
the storm, maybe just storm.
Yeah, there's not a lot we can do with that.
Turkey has now I think the snowstorm now.
Right snowstorm! Wow.
Now.
Well, that's a strange snowstorm in Turkey. Strange idea. Lisa, over to you then. So, as I said, I think there's a large. I think you were just telling me before. There's a huge Brazilian community. Is it the second largest after the Polish? Maybe is it right?
I think I think
first.
I've read in the news. Brazilians are the second biggest community.
Yeah.
In Ireland, just behind the Polish.
Okay, so as I said, sure, I think there's great hope for our soccer team maybe in the next
Yes, yeah.
in the next generation.
Yeah.
But again, I guess a similar question for yourself. What has been your share with me maybe a positive kind of experience of if you were picking one thing, if there was one thing you'd say, wow.
Well,
what would
in
be-
general, Ireland has a really good quality life. You can have a really good life here. In Ireland, people are really friendly. You can live really well here. So in a general way, I would say quality of life is really good. And in the bad side, for sure, is the weather for me, particularly.
Mhm.
I came from really warm weather and I had to adjust to the weather
Okay.
along these years. And of course, I miss family and friends.
Yeah.
But in a general way, the good side end up have a good weight in my life. It's a
Okay.
really good place to live.
Super. No, that's great. Thank you. Can then just the last question for yourself then. What's one message you would give somebody who would be listening to this video, for instance, considering of applying for a job in Ireland? What's the one message you would leave them with?
I can say it is that the come to Ireland and maybe you can visit the first to Ireland and you can see what happened here and
Okay.
how's the people and how's life.
Okay, great. And Talita, what would be your parting message from the video to those people who might be considering a move to Ireland to build a career here?
Well, my experience is really positive, so I would recommend. It's a place that is growing a lot in opportunities. Is for sure a place to look for if you want to work in technology. So I would suggest to come and take a look in the opportunities that we have here, and maybe come to visit the country and see how is the life here.
Okay. Great. Listen, Teresa, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us. And listen, the very best of luck to you in your future careers in Ireland, and hopefully we'll get to meet maybe in person one day.
Hopefully.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
thanks,
for the
thanks,
opportunity.
folks. Thank you. So could I maybe finish then just by again reminding people that I'll just go back maybe and share that screen one last time. This is the website to if you want to look direct, if you want to go directly to the opportunities for the various companies that are associated with our members, with our organization. It's at midasireland.ie. So you see lots of job postings there, and they're regularly posted there indeed by the company. So please do go visit, and hopefully we'll see you someday soon in a great career choice here in Ireland.
Brilliant. And Leonard, just as you finish up, I want to say a massive thank you on behalf of Engineers Ireland for collaborating with us. And I think it's really kind of positive message that yourself, that Barry, that Talita, and that Can have all put out there around the amazing opportunities that there are in the microelectronic industry. And yeah, you should be incredibly proud of all the work that you're doing at MIDAS Ireland to wave the banner on behalf of the industry. So yeah, thanks so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Michal. I think one of the people have joined online, Michal, as we were chatting. Did we want to take some questions?
Absolutely.